Hi, everyone. I'm JJ. I'm a product designer here at Rise 8, or Empathizer in chief, as Janice put it. And I'm pretty excited to be here today, giving the transition talk. And if I had to encapsulate my talk in an image, it would be just this. I'm actually really glad that Janice had brought up the concept of assumptions. So there is some truth to this humor. I bet my 401k that we've all been in meetings where this probably has played out in some fashion. And I do think this is something that's really important to point out, whether that's within our team or even with other stakeholders who we've dealt with, whether they're in the organization that we're working with or outside the organization as well. And I could have used a fancy example from Google or even Rise 8, but what better way than to use a non-tech related example like a bamboo stool? And I know what you're thinking, JJ, how does a bamboo stool relate to a comic about assumptions? Well, let me tell you. So to put into context, let's think back to 1974. There was a pretty bad famine that happened in Bangladesh at that time, and it was so bad that bodies were piling up much faster than the universities could gather statistics around why or the cause of the famine itself. So enter Mohamad Uni. He was an economics professor at Chittagong University in Bangladesh, and he was teaching these courses and theories that was supposed to solve these problems around poverty and essentially why the famine was happening. But across from his lecture halls, people were dying and dying very, very quickly. So he was pretty frustrated, and he decided to go into the villages to figure out why this was happening in order to get a realistic point of view as to the problem that Bangladesh was experiencing at that time. Well, he ended up meeting a woman, a mother of actually 3 or 4 children, and he had found her making these bamboo stools, and he had discovered that in order to buy the materials to make these bamboo stools, she needed 22 cents. Well, coming from one of the poorest villages in Bangladesh, she did not have 22 cents to afford, so she actually had to rely on these middlemen in order to give her the 22 cents. But part of the deal was that she had to sell those bamboo stools back to those middlemen for 24 cents. And you can do the math that 2 cents of profit a day is a hardly livable wage, even in Bangladesh in 1974. So him and his students came back to the university, and they actually decided to go back into the village and collect a list of people who were dependent on these middlemen. And when you come from a poor village, you do not have access to conventional loans. You don't have the capital or the collateral available. And they found that 42 people in the village needed a combined of $27 in order to not have to rely on these middlemen. So enter Grameen Bank, and they basically they were the impetus of what we know today as the micro-lending or microfinancing industry today. And if that isn't impressive enough for you, they actually won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2006 just for this model itself. So if the image didn't impress you enough before, well, maybe this quote will, and it's that no facts exist inside the building, only opinions. And the reason why we have all of these frameworks like lean UX or design thinking or human-centered design, it comes back to what are the problems that we're trying to solve for these users in order to bring value that's going to make a lasting impact for not just our immediate community, but hopefully for the rest of the world that they can also benefit from as well. So if you can't remember the image, then I hope you remember the quote.